Welcome all to a couple of expats. I am Gabriella and this is John, and we are a couple of expats from the US living in the Netherlands. Thank you guys for coming back to listen to episode 2. We are so excited to continue doing this, and we are so grateful for all the support we've had. So for any of the listeners who've joined us for episode 1 and have shared and liked everything we've done, we just want to say thank you. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you.
So to start off this episode, we're just going to do a quick weekly catch up. How's your week been, John, in the Netherlands?
Good. I think good. Busy one, actually, because I had a lot of people here from the U.S. For work. So traveling from Amsterdam to Hilversum every day, and then trying new food. So this week was the first week I've ever tried Surinamese food. So
super interesting.
If you guys were not aware of that, the Netherlands went over to Central America. Some of you may have been to some of their hotspots, Aruba, Curacao, and another place in Central America called Suriname. And so I tried Surinamese food this week.
Very nice. Did you like it? That's a no.
It was good. It was good. It was a mix of things, which was very interesting because it was like curry, but then like beef. It was a big mix of different types of foods, which is really good. Yeah, it was like Indonesian, but kind of African, but kind of Caribbean. It was really tasty. And it was in this place in the Pipe called Warung Spranda or something like Spranka.
The Pipe is really cool. That's like kind of the hipstery, cool young people area. They have a lot of good food, a lot of different food there. I love the Pipe. My week was okay. Not as exciting as John's. I think the coolest thing I did this week was, like I said, I'm a big runner. So I went out to Zandvoort, which is kind of near the coastline of the Netherlands. It's like a 30-minute train ride from Amsterdam. And they have the Zandvoort circuit, which they do Formula 1 races on. So I got to run a lap of what the cars usually race on. So that was really cool. It was insanely windy, but that matches up with the Netherlands. It's nice rain and wind all in your face throughout the whole race. But that's the Netherlands for you, as they say. So let's jump into what we actually are going to talk about for this episode. And it is going to be moving in. So finding housing, how we went about locating and getting and locking in housing here in the Netherlands. I think John and I have a little different stories. So I obviously started my expat journey in London by myself while he started his here in the Netherlands. So personally for me, my Netherlands journey to finding housing was as simple as moving into John's apartment. So it required nothing from me. So John, why don't you go ahead and tell us what it was like trying to find housing? Did you already have housing locked in before you moved to the Netherlands? Was it easy to find?
Yeah,
was it easy to find anything? How was your experience?
Well, kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. Everything happened very quick. I mean, I got an offer in June, signed the papers in July, had my immigration specialist at my company start the process with my immigration lawyers out of Brussels. And once that happened, it was pretty much trying to obtain my residence permit or try to like show that everything was actually going down and I needed to find a place to live over here. And then once that was kind of done in July, or that process was pretty much initiated with the Dutch government, took a long weekend over here, came over on like a Thursday and then left on I came over on like a Monday and left on a Friday. And in that time I had worked with a lady, her name was Yolanda, and she had a relocation specialist, service for expats and people just coming in. So she had one of her assistants meet me at Amsterdam Central. We rented a bike, went to like 5 apartments in a day, all over the city. And by the end of and this was I already actually kind of had found and I had told them about, I said, hey, can you like arrange for us to take a look at it while we're biking around the city. And we did. And yeah, it was nice. So, but the thing was that was tricky. That was the beginning of August. I was supposed to move here August 31st.
Were you able to sign a lease even though you hadn't had a residence permit yet?
I think so. And it took some smooth talking between my relocation specialists, my immigration specialists, the lawyers out of Brussels, essentially to say like, hey, this guy's coming over here. The company's already wanting him to come over here. We're waiting for the IND and the Dutch government. IND is like the Dutch government entity, I guess. And we're just waiting for them to sign off. He already has appointments to get biometrics done, which if you move over here, you need to get like, I think like pictures, your irises, and then your fingerprints scanned. Yeah. And so that was already going. So it's pretty much locked in. I just didn't have anything. And so also I think something that helped is that this building was like absolutely brand new. There was like 2 other people in it before me. And I think it was actually still being done, like completed when I moved in. A lot of things were like needed to get reworked once I actually moved in. But they were also kind of dragging their feet because I think they didn't know if they would be able to get the apartment done in time. And I think they rushed it because they knew I had so much interest in it. Long story short, the realtor was like, okay, fine, let's do it. If the guy has the money to pay, he has like all the entire process like almost done, and he needs to be here in 3 weeks, let's do it. But I moved over here on August 31st, and I don't think I got the papers to sign or DocuSign until the 24th. So It was very tight. But it was good. It was a nice process. Overall, it was pretty easy.
And you moved all of your furniture over here too, because your company gave you X amount of money to relocate completely. So what was that process like of moving literally all of your belongings from the US? Because I was the complete opposite, and I had 3 suitcases of clothes. That was it. But what was like that whole process? Like, how long did it take? What did you do in that gap between? Because if you're shipping stuff in containers to another country, and this was also during COVID, there was clearly a delay.
Yeah.
So how did you go about furniture and furnishing your apartment?
So there was this like company over here called like Revision. And they charge you, like you can select a package that you want to rent from them. So I did it from September 1st to like January 10th when my container came. But you can literally select a package of what you want. Like,
yeah. So it was 4 months before you even got any of your stuff.
It was kind of expensive. It was like, I think I did like 1,600 euros a month or something on top of the rent that I was already paying. So it was already a lot, but I got like literally everything was a rental, like from an espresso machine to forks, to beds, to sheets, to desk, TV, couches, table.
Yeah.
Like everything was a rental. So it was a really good service. They're all very nice. But it was a little costly, I guess, but you can't really like, you don't really have any other options.
Yeah. Do you regret not moving everything here from the US and just doing a big IKEA run to furnishing your place? Or are you happy you brought all your stuff?
Happy. 100%. During tax-free weekend in 2022, I had bought all the furniture in here, like Bernie and Phil's and Braintree. And first off, any Americans listening, tax-free weekend, apparently I didn't know this, and everybody else did. Tax-free weekend is when everybody buys furniture. It was a disaster.
Yeah, but that's also, the furniture is so much bigger in the US than it is in the Netherlands or in Europe in general. So
that
did your stuff even, how did they move your stuff physically in? Because in a lot of places in the Netherlands, you see, it's actually really cool to watch the move-in process. They have on a lot of the old school or the traditional buildings, they have these cranes on top, and they actually move a lot of furniture in through windows on the level that you live in. So they have like little escalators and then cranes where they literally crank couches up. It's the coolest and most fun process to watch.
A cousin on a side street, and they're trying to get a table up top, and we were like all clapping when I made it up. But it was so yeah, the furniture is a little dainty. I just, unless you're paying like a ton of money for euros,
The furniture
like,
in the Netherlands.
yeah, like you would never be able to find like a big love seat or couch like the ones that we have. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna ship these over on the container or whatever. The container took a lot longer than I wanted it to, which was a little frustrating. And then when it came here, I don't know if this is normal protocol, but I had like the laziest movers ever. And the guy was like, yeah, you can get a crane and crane it up through your window here, or we can cut it in half and try to reassemble it when we get up to the top, which we probably could have, but it's like, absolutely not. So there was one dude that was a little like haggard, and I was just kind of like, look, this is going to probably take 15 minutes. I'm on the 7th floor. I'll give you 20 euros if you take the other end of this couch, and I'll take this end of the couch, and we just go up the stairs because it wouldn't fit in the elevator. And so he did it. We got it up here, and we spun it around and a few things, and yeah, it ended up working out pretty well. But it was a little bit frustrating because getting the container here, first off, these moving guys are like freaking mafia people. Like, they hold your stuff hostage oftentimes. Like, and I work with a lot of logistics dudes, so I was able to get the inside scoop on some of the fees that they were charging me that were oddly rounded to like a specific number of like $1,000 here or $2,000 here or whatever. So I was like, finally, I'm like, okay, I got a big bill for this thing called demurrage fees. And I was like, the guy was like, hey, you need to pay this X amount of money before we can release your inventory to get put on a container, get like on a moving truck, and then bring it over to your place. Okay. It is actually a thing. And either way, the guy was like, yeah, you got to pay this or we're not going to release it. So you have to pay the money. They hold your stuff hostage. Otherwise, you're not going to like get your stuff. And the guy was really nice about it, but I was just kind of oddly suspicious that it was a very well-rounded number. Long story short, got it here.
But your company was paying for everything. So
yeah, but they give you a flat rate. So the more that like you don't have to spend, the more you can pocket. So I was being a little selfish.
Fair. But they also, it's crazy because it has to clear all of customs. You literally have to itemize every single thing. Like each individual spoon has to be itemized. So it clears customs.
Not really. It'll just kind of like in my silverware, it would say like 20 spoons.
Yeah. Like, so itemized like, every single one. But yeah, you're proud of the itemization. Even on your bikes, you still have the sticker from what the movers put on it. And one time I tried to rip that off and you did not let me, to say the least. So you take some pride in that move for sure. My experience is actually a lot different because I packed my life into 3 suitcases. I didn't move any. I sold all of my belongings pretty much and all of my furniture. And I moved to London with 3 bags of clothes. Big shout out to my mom for helping me decide what to bring and actually fitting it in the bag. That was pretty insane to board a plane, pay for 1 extra checked bag, and that was it. That was my life. I've never done something like that. So it was really kind of cool and scary at the same time to look at my 3 bags and realize, oh my gosh, that's my whole life. Let's go on this new adventure and leave everything I know behind. But being in London, I actually didn't have anything lined up when I went. I had an Airbnb that I booked, I think, for a month. And my plan was to stay in that Airbnb. And then once I got to London, I was going to try to apartment hunt, which was the advice I was actually given. And I think it's a really common thing for people to do, whether it's stay with a friend or stay in Airbnb. But yeah, I think I got there, started looking for apartments right away. It was challenging. The apartment hunting in London is so hard. London's huge, so you got to narrow down where you want to live. And so then big. It's too big, in my opinion. But still love London. It was just big. But yeah, looking for apartments, I knew I wanted flatmates or roommates for my American followers, where John knew he wanted to be by himself. He was going to be working from home. He wanted a 2-bedroom. His like expectations were very clear. where mine were like a little kind of wish-washy. I didn't even know exactly where I wanted to be.
I was like,
So
if
it
I'm
was
moving
stressful.
here, and at the time we were still in lockdowns in the Netherlands, so we couldn't really go to the office all that much. Like, so it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to be working from home. I need outdoor space, and I need one bedroom and the second bedroom to be my office.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah, but I knew apartments are just expensive in London. I knew I wanted to cut costs by having flatmates. So I joined every group on Facebook you could. I joined Spare Room. Like there's a bunch of apps where you literally just message random people that have open rooms and you meet up with them. I had looked at a couple apartments. I found one I really liked. Got turned down because someone else wanted it. And the apartment market is just like really challenging. Even if you're looking for a place, by the time something will be posted on like Trulia or something, and within a day, it's already taken. So there's no time to sit on anything. You literally have to make a move then and there, which is crazy. But I was really fortunate so I ended up staying in my Airbnb for about 6 weeks. And then ended up moving to Hackney or East London with two flatmates, two people I didn't know. They're both from New Zealand, so it was nice just kind of having that camaraderie, just being expats together. Yeah. And it was really fun. We stayed there for a year before we all split ways and kind of went into our own apartment. It was definitely a struggle to get to that point. One thing I think was really interesting, which you don't see in the US, is I obviously didn't have any furniture. So a lot of places, I've noticed in Europe too, but a lot of places are furnished. So you can get furnished or unfurnished apartments, and it's like completely outfitted with everything to the mattress, which kind of grossed me out. I'm not going to lie, but I just put a mattress protector on and hope for the best, and it worked out okay. But yeah, it's kind of the standard to have furnished apartments, or at least like partially furnished, is really cool. And I actually really appreciate, especially in such a fast paced environment where us millennials, I don't think we ever stay still. We're just constantly on the move. So it helps limit that extra expense of having to worry about your own furniture and all of that. But London, it was definitely a journey. A lot of tears were shed for sure. But we made it through. And it was also really challenging because I couldn't actually set up a bank account in the UK until I had a permanent address. So that made the apartment search even like more hungry and more eager to get that accomplished. So I can have that UK bank account, which was just a pressing fact for me.
Yeah, I think that I was lucky from my short assignment over here in 2019 that I was able to get a BSN, which is essentially a Dutch social security number, and a bank account. Then I didn't really have to worry about that, like when I moved over here this permanently. Yeah. But yeah, one of the things that was super weird, I just find it mind blowing. So when you get an apartment, you don't have flooring or lighting.
This is the Netherlands specifically. So London was not like this at all.
So you move in, and like I'm in a new building, and the selling point was that, hey, it comes with flooring, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's a floor, and so yeah,
but finished flooring,
yeah, like the laminate on top of like the concrete slab, and that was the selling point. So that was good. I didn't actually have to deal with that. But the people that are around me in all the buildings, you see them with like the sawhorses, and they're literally sawing flooring. Like when every other building is opening, all you hear is just sawing, because everybody's sawing pieces of flooring to put down on top of the concrete slab. And the lighting,
yeah.
You
had to purchase the lighting.
I had to purchase. So I had like rented a car, went to IKEA for some of the lighting in the apartment. So I bought like 14 of the same light for all the different rooms and fixtures in here. And then in the main kitchen and living room and dining room and stuff, I had bought it from some like website. But either way, I went to a lighting store that looked like they had good lighting. And I said, hey, like they look like they had legit stuff. And I was just kind of like, hey, do you have like a recommended electrician? Like, yeah, this guy. Called him up. He was a little bit brash, like not the most friendly guy, but I find that like that was like that's kind of like how things are here.
Very direct and
so,
kind of
yeah. So like I'll just be like, I'll call him up and be like, hi, I just have some lights to like install. I was just hoping. He's like, yeah, when do you want it? I'm like as soon as possible, because I'm literally working by candlelight right now. Like it's the friggin' 1400s. And so he came over here and he was actually like really nice. And he hooked me up with like a light bulb out, so that, like in one of the outlets, so that I didn't have to do like candlelight, which was nice because it was like August, getting a little bit darker at that point. And then so to like get all this scaffolding in here and get lasers and all this other stuff. And I'm like, hey, I have to go to Hilversum. Like just shut the door after when you're, and I came back and it was like all done. So it was like actually really nice. I was out of his way because he had like scaffolding, like with the,
can I ask though, what do you do when you move? So do you, like, I've heard things like people sell off the flooring or the lights to the next tenant.
Yeah, that's like what they told me.
If they say no, you have to like sometimes strip it bare bones. So you have to rip out the flooring.
I think like, honestly, they kind of know, right? Like you would try to sell it to the next person, but the next person's like, no, I don't want it. They would either try to play like tough guy or they already have their own stuff. And at that point, then you're kind of almost like, okay, well, it's going to cost me more money to take these out and then more time to try to sell these somewhere. So at that point, you're probably like, well, I've got enough utility out of these things that I can probably just dump the cost and like have like my sunken ship and someone can take it, right? That's what I'm kind of worried about, is that when we do leave, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, to be continued. Hopefully this podcast is still going by that time. We have no plans to leave, but we'll have to keep you updated on our lighting. Thankfully our flooring's
such an exciting subject to talk about.
It's so interesting though. Like it comes with nothing. It's so bare bones.
It's wires sticking out of the ceiling, and
it's so the guy different.
Literally was like, hey, I have a light bulb and I can stick a socket and put a wire out the back. And he literally like just like mixed the wires together, put a screw cap on it. And then that was like what made my lighting work. So that was really all apartments, but it was a lot of money. Like, I mean, to put all the lighting in here plus the fixtures, I think I had to pay him, just the electrician, because he had to rent scaffolding and stuff. That was over 550 euros. Probably paid 800 and something euros for the actual fixtures and like going to IKEA and renting a car and like these ones. So it's a lot of money. Like if you're trying to like get a new apartment, like,
do you feel like housing in comparison to the US? So obviously we both lived in Boston. How do you feel like housing market cost wise is compared to the US? Because I actually feel like London, I think, was incredibly expensive. You could live in, similar to New York, you live in a shoebox and pay an absurd amount of money for something that's literally breaking down at your fingertips. But I think in Amsterdam, places in general are just smaller, and that's the European lifestyle, so you expect that. But do you think the value that you pay is,
I think you get better
comparable to the US?
I think people here are like, oh my God, that's so expensive, but it's because salaries are lower.
Yeah.
But like I remember seeing something one time when someone was like looking for an apartment and they were like getting outraged over like 750 euros a month or something like that. And like a shared apartment. I was like, what? But this one, you get a lot more value. I mean, it's like 105, 110 meters. So that's like 1,000 square feet plus another deck on the back. That's like solely mine.
To be fair, we do fortunately have a sick apartment. John hit the jackpot on it. It's really cool. This is not the standard, and it's one of the new buildings in Amsterdam, so it doesn't come with all of the issues that come with old buildings. But the old buildings in the canals are really cool. I have to admit, I would love to live in the canals.
I was like, I'm going to have a lot of electronics. I don't want old wiring from like the 1800s. Like I don't want uneven floors because the canal buildings are like just super crooked. So all of that. But yeah, I mean, we have a big deck outside that we can have a ton of people on, and we have a balcony out front that you can also have a ton of people on. And Yeah, now we're at like 3,000 for the apartment. Plus, I was paying like for the rent. So the first few months were like pretty, almost $5,000 a month. Yeah, because you're like $3,000 in on the apartment, and then 1,600 on the rental furniture, and then you have utilities. So yeah, by the end of it, you're at like 5,000 euros a month.
Yeah, I did find that the just rental process, like you do have to pay security and
2 months.
2 months of
It was
security.
security
Here,
in
it
2
was only
months
one
here.
in the
Security
UK.
in 2 months. So you're putting up. Yeah, you're also almost putting up like $9,000.
Yeah,
like one shot.
So that is consistent. And then also being able to rent an apartment. So being the renter, not the leasee. There's very strict rules in the Netherlands.
You're and lessee the same person.
Or the person that is renting the apartment, like
That's
the owner.
Renter. That's the landlord.
The landlord. That's the word I was looking for. There you go. So the landlord, there's actually really strict regulations on how you can rent out an apartment.
And it got stricter this past year.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
because there's
like
a housing
crisis
crisis.
and stuff
Literally,
like that.
housing crisis is everywhere.
But the good thing is like this one, because you have certain requirements based off the year it was made, the type of like functionality it has, like in terms of like if there's an elevator, or heated flooring, or ventilation, like all of that stuff. So there's different rules, but luckily for me, I think I was either grandfathered or somehow my apartment fell into a certain categorization, but the rent can only go up 3% every year,
which
max.
Is nice. That's very different in the US for sure. I think we've talked a lot about housing. We'll definitely dig into other episodes, what it's like just living in an apartment in the Netherlands, because it is very different from the US. But let's move on to our snack of the week. Our snack of the week is called compost. It is actually a combination of a croissant and a traditional Dutch and Belgian dessert called trompoes. So this was a new invention created in November of 2023. So it's actually newer to the Netherlands.
Tompoes.
So it's newer to the Netherlands than I am, which is cool. I've got a couple months on this compost. So basically,
and then this
is a compost. So trompoes is a traditional Dutch pastry that has phyllo dough. And then cream.
Let her talk.
Trompoes. It is a traditional Dutch pastry. As I was saying, I keep getting interrupted. Consisting of a puff pastry, cream in the middle, puff pastry on the bottom, and then this pink icing on top. It honestly kind of looks disgusting, but now they've put it into a croissant.
Some lady during TikTok times.
So they created a viral dessert.
The lady was she was out of Utrecht, and essentially she took the traditional Dutch dish, and then instead of the puff pastry being the sandwiching like material, it's now a croissant. And it's essentially a croissant with cream with pink icing on the top.
It's kind of what I expected. It's not that good, and it just tastes like cream. If you like cream, you'll love it. Me, on the other hand,
that's not good. I mean, it's okay. But like,
wouldn't recommend necessarily.
Also, by the way,
there's better things to find.
We got this at like a generic supermarket.
Yeah, we just got it at our local Albert Heijn. It is mediocre. I didn't really expect good things out of it, but
it's not bad. I mean, I probably wouldn't like say, "Oh, I need this," but yeah. I mean, this is.
I'm gonna give it like a 3 out of 10. What are you gonna give it?
I'll give it like a 4. It's not bad, but it's not great. I mean,
you're still eating it. I see. Yeah, how bad can it be if you're still eating it?
Yeah, I'm kind of hungry though, but I don't know. I've always thought that like these type of like fancier like.
So TikTok
lose for TikTok. Like are probably like this. You go to like France to like try these types of.
Yeah. Also, you guys just leave a croissant. Let a croissant be. Now you guys are putting cookie doughs in croissant. I'm sorry, but just let the croissant be, y'all. Let's leave it in France. You're offending the French. Just keep it simple with a croissant. All right, John.
Actually, I would call it a croissant.
Super French. We'll go to Paris next week and really see.
Actually, we're going to not to Paris next week.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll go to Paris in a few weeks. So what's your Dutch word or phrase of the week? What do you have for us this week?
I think a good one that I always one of the first words that I learned over here was please. I think.
But can you give us the Dutch version of what please is?
I think any place you go to, as long as you know like hello, please, and thank you, you can mingle with the locals pretty well.
Absolutely.
And, like actually like, you know, create some rapport, because you really are like making an effort to say like, hey, I know I'm a foreigner, but I want to like, hey, like, you know. So the word is alsjeblieft, or
is alsjeblieft.
Alsjeblieft. If you hand me the translator, I can.
That's okay. We got it. Alsjeblieft. I'll take your word on it.
Let's see what she says. But I think the thing is, that's always I thought really important is
alsjeblieft.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like I always like when we go to like Germany or something, like always trying to say like bitte, which is like please, Dankeschön. Same here, alsjeblieft. You'll see it on signs, AUB, which is like the shortening of like of alsjeblieft. Similar like in the US, instead of when we say thank you, you'll see like TY or something like that. But you'll see AUB every once in a while. Same with France, you see like SVP for s'il vous plaît.
But I think it's interesting because alsjeblieft also means like if somebody hands you something, it means here you go. So there's actually different ways.
It's true
to say it.
Because it's like kind of like when you
like if you're at a restaurant and they hand you their food, they're like alsjeblieft.
Which is like almost like when someone's trying to seat you at a table, they'll pull out the chair and they're like alsjeblieft, which means like I think of like going into a restaurant and they're pulling the chair out for you and like, please sit down. Like, something like that.
So it's definitely a phrase. Mine is going off completely different. And it's just, I am, and then I would say Gabriella, but obviously you would say your name. So ik ben Gabriella. That's one of the first things I learned to speak in Dutch. I actually listened to a podcast teaching me Dutch, and it took me 2 days to learn this exact phrase because one of my friends who knows a little bit of Dutch told me I was speaking German because they are similar. So it took me 2 days to learn this simple 2 words, ik ben, I am, or like I am called, ik ben Gabriella. So if you ever want to introduce yourself in Dutch, ik ben, in your name. Simple as that. Hopefully it takes you less than 2 days to actually learn that, unlike myself.
Nice, Gabriella.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
All right, let's move on to some of the questions. We actually got a lot of questions from all of our followers, so we want to thank you guys so much for sending in questions. You guys are always welcome to send in questions. There's a link through our Instagram page to send us questions. That's the easiest way to get through to us. You can also comment or leave questions on our YouTube channel too, and we'll absolutely answer them in our next episodes. So we actually got a lot of questions. We're going to touch a little bit on each one, but a lot of them will probably be more in depth in future episodes. So we want to address it because you guys sent them in, and we obviously want to recognize your hard efforts and your interest in us because we really appreciate that. So the first one we have is, what do you miss most in the U.S. and what do you find unique to the Netherlands that you can't find in the U.S.? That one's easy for me. What I miss most in the U.S., and I'm going to offend literally half our audience because half our audience is my family, but I am going to say that I miss Mexican food the most. I'm from Texas. I've not found good Mexican food in either the UK or the Netherlands. That's so true. I'm just like craving
if anybody knows
good Mexican food.
If anybody from the US is here in the Netherlands and knows any good Mexican places, and we know one, Los Polones in Amsterdam, which is really good. But I mean, like, I want some good nachos with guac, with like enchiladas, fajitas, all that stuff.
Yeah, let's do it right.
There's this one place in Dallas that we used to go to the bottom of our apartment called Macero. That was really good.
Yeah, queso does not exist here. First off, they would call queso kaas. That's cheese in Dutch. So you guys got 2 Dutch words for me this week. But yeah, that doesn't exist. Anything you miss most in the U.S.?
Buffalo. Everything buffalo. Buffalo
like
chicken.
buffalo flavor?
Oh, yeah. Can't can't find it here. It's
Yeah, it
just
doesn't exist. You
and-
can
and
get the
when
red
it-
hot
and when you
sauce
get
though.
and when you get like buffalo at like a restaurant, it's not the same. I mean, like I'm talking fried chicken tenders, Frank's buffalo sauce, restaurant style with the butter, some good like chunky blue cheese, like, and I also miss like thick pizza. Like pizza here is good,
But you're
it's
so close to Italy. You
I
get
know,
like
but it's
traditional
all
Italian
No.
pizza.
I know, but I
It's
mean,
so
like, I don't
good.
like this like Neapolitan pizza. Like, it is good. We actually have a really good.
No, it's good. It's too close to Italy. You got real Italians in the pizza for you. They know exactly what they're doing. It is too good. You
Now,
like
I mean,
American pizza.
I do. That's what I'm. Well, isn't the question what do you miss the most in the U.S.?
Yeah, so American pizza, not just pizza in general.
So I do miss American pizza, which in my eyes is pizza. But I mean, like a real thick pizza. Like, I don't know. You go to like. I'm trying to think of like a good example of one. Like
There is
Antonio's
Domino's though. You got Domino's. You got Pizza Hut. No, you don't got Pizza Hut. You have Papa John's.
Antonio's in Amherst, Massachusetts has, you're talking like thick crust pizza with like wacky stuff on there. They'll have like a chicken burrito pizza with like rice, beans, grilled chicken on there, spinach ravioli, spinach tortellini pizza, like pesto tortellini pizza. They have really good stuff, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
that just screams American. Let's find anything we can put on anything and serve it to you. That's just
100%.
straight up. That's just America summed up in a pizza for you.
I think the thing that I find the most unique about the Netherlands that you can't find in the US, and I think like we'll go to like our normal, just regular grocery store, and we have deer, we have elk, we have.
You're referencing in the Netherlands.
Yeah. We have boar, rabbit, like a lot more wild game food that would be considered as such in the US is in Albert Heijn, like in a supermarket.
In our local
like
grocery
you'll
store,
get like
Albert
a sausage that is like a mix of boar, deer, elk, and rabbit or something like that. Like, and you can buy like a backstrap right at the grocery store, like just like you can buy a hamburger. So that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat. I think like
mine's completely different. What I find unique to the Netherlands, or I'm going to go with Europe, is just the quality and pace of life. Like, for example, with work, they really value work-life balance. The amount of time they give you for holiday alone, like standard by the government, I think it's like 25 days or something.
Oh yeah,
so that's just, it's like really refreshing and it's nice. It's really hard to change that mindset as an American. Like, I never call out of work when I'm sick, but here it's actually really encouraged and they have resources to help you. I think even to the extreme, and this might be almost like a check-in to make sure you're actually sick if you're abusing the system, but they'll make sure you have access to a doctor and get the help you need. And just the general pace and quality of life. Yeah. I love it here, and I really wish that would transfer over to America. I know if I ever move back to America, I'm going to bring those qualities with me because it's made such an impact and difference in my life, not making it all about work all the time.
Yeah, we can probably spend another episode on this one. I think you've seen a lot of the positives of it as someone that's like trying to lead a team. And
there's some negative hitbacks for you.
In a publicly traded American company, it's a very difficult thing to navigate through. And
that's fair.
We can spend more time on that after.
Yeah.
Cool.
We want to make sure we answer your questions with whole hearts. So let's wrap it up.
You pick one more, I'll pick one more.
All right, fine. So what advice would you give to anyone wanting to relocate? 100%, I would say just do it. Literally close your eyes and do it. The longer you wait, the better chance you have of it never happening. This has been such a blessing in disguise. And when I left America, I can't tell you how nervous and how scared and how many times it crossed my mind, well, why the hell am I doing this? And I haven't regretted one bit of it. It's been challenging. There's been lots of tears, but there's been so many good times to counterbalance that. And I've learned and grown so much. I've learned so much about myself, about the world, about who I want to be. It's just been honestly an absolute life-changing experience for me. So anyone out there who's considering relocating, if you can find a way to do it, do it right now. Don't wait. That would be my best advice to you.
Yeah, I think on that one for me, like, just do it. Like, I think us for now, like being here, like, and relocating, we're kind of like, okay, now that we've done it, it's not as scary to move it to other places in the world, for me at least. So
you're leaving everything you have behind and everything you know.
Yeah,
so
but
I think
like,
there's
honestly,
a fear, but also it comes with excitement as well. It's a big jump.
I mean, it is, but like Boston's really, from Boston to Amsterdam is a 5 hour and 45-minute flight. That's like going from Boston to LA. It's pretty quick. I also do go back.
It's a completely different country.
No, I know. I know. No, 100%. But I do like think like coming over here, it's not like you're kind of being on an island. Like you can always just go back. Like, and so I think like you said, just go for it. If you don't like it, you can always go back.
Absolutely.
But like, it's really not that long of a flight. And now there's more routes, especially if you're on the East Coast. JetBlue's doing a lot more added routes, United, Delta. It is pretty easy. I try to go back probably like once a quarter if I can. If it's a Q4, it'll probably be like more like 2 or 3 times a quarter. But it is, I don't know, just go for it. But I will say, get your immigration shit in check.
Like, find somebody to help you. Lawyer, don't do it yourself. It's worth paying the extra expense.
They know the ins and outs.
And they'll make the process. They'll guarantee pretty much you getting a visa, and they'll make that process so much easier for you. I wouldn't do it any other way.
And also, if you do want to look at the Netherlands, it is pretty easy. Look it up online. Maybe we'll talk about this in a future episode, but look up the DAFT. It's pretty nice it's Dutch-American Friendship Treaty visa. If you're interested in moving to Europe, look it up.
Yeah, and most European
Montenegro also does.
Most European countries have an easy route, but relatively fair route for Americans to come live abroad. So there's always options out there. You just have to find the right one for you. Do you want to choose?
I'll do a quick one.
A very quick one. Let's go. Got to make up your mind. You're already lagging right now. This isn't quick. Let me choose it for you because clearly, how about this one? This one is specifically for you. Does John miss his friends?
Hell yeah, I miss my friends. Trying to get them over here for the past 3 years. It's great skiing, great beaches.
Can't say no to this one.
Great skiing in the winter, and it's cheap. Like Dolomiti super ski.
We'll do a whole skiing episode. They got it. They know it's good skiing.
Yeah, good skiing, good food, a lot different skiing than.
What about just the culture of Amsterdam? Skiing aside, drop the skiing for a second.
I think it's really cool. Like and I think my friend, that's why they would love it here. And a few friends came over the first time I was here for a work assignment, but it is pretty cool to be walking around downtown and seeing a building that's still standing from like the 1500s.
Yeah, there's old shit, needless to say.
Or like going to see like stuff that was like, hey, this is the original gate from the 1400s.
I think it was in Leiden. There's buildings from the 1200s, which is like
Harlem.
Insane. That's old.
Harlem, which is the original Harlem, because if you guys didn't know, the Dutch colonized New York first, and it was New Amsterdam, so that's why Harlem.
And if you do come here, they will make sure that you know that. So
the first thing
don't
they say,
worry.
The Dutch colonized New York first, and it was New Amsterdam, but that's why Harlem in New York is called Harlem, because the town is just 10, 15, 20 minutes away. And they have a really good market on Saturdays.
Absolutely. Yeah, really good. Well, we want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Again, we'll wrap this episode up here.
Bring the questions.
Remember, you can always find us on Instagram at a couple of expats _podcast. You have us on YouTube, and we are always open to any questions you have. So make sure you fill out those question forms, and we will answer them for you on the next podcast. We hope y'all have a great day.